So this led to the subprime mortgages. Because if you want to extend it, and there were quotas, 35% should go to this, 25% to go that, and all that. If you have that, then it's inevitable that the lending standards are going to be brought down in order to meet the mandated to meet the mandates of the authorities. And so it's no surprise that the subprime mortgages developed. One of the most egregious ones is they call the option ARM. So there's options in two senses of the term there. Option is you have the option to put any down payment or no down payment on the house you are going to buy. And second, in servicing the mortgage, you have the option to pay whatever you could pay. Okay? So this is the extreme version of the intention to extend credit to sources to individuals who might otherwise not be able to get mortgages at all. That's one part of it. The other is in the entry into the market, besides banks, which used to be the traditional ones, the other originators came in as well. But this third factor, this is the most important factor in my view. This is the securitization and tranching of mortgages. So the mortgages originators sold the mortgages into pools, and those pool organizers then sliced up the cash flow from the service of those mortgages into various tranches. The first crack on the transfer, the seniority part of it, those securities had a low return but low risk. So you go down the risk return portfolio, and the last tranche is essentially the residual claimants like equity holders. They bore all the risk that is not borne by the other more senior tranches, and they get whatever return that remains. So that's the tranching of this thing. They sold these securities, they should be able to sell them. So there came in these rating agencies, and these rating agencies rated the top tranches as triple AA, means highly liquid and very low risk securities. So what did that mean? So these securities were sold to pension funds, sold to other banks, sold to not only in the United States and eventually to all over the world. So now I'll come back to in a moment what is this meant. So the pooling and tranching process, the problem was it was completely opaque and complex. Now, if you bought one of those securities, whatever tranche securities, you don't know who the owners or who the borrowers, whose mortgages, who are servicing the mortgages, and whose service cash flow is giving you the returns from that security. And so you have no way of judging what the link between the ultimate money that you are getting and who is paying it and so on. The purchasers lacked information as to the risk-return characteristics of their purchasers, because again they went by this rating agency's judgment that these securities are of that quality. So this is the problem. This created wrong incentives across the chain, from mortgage borrowers, mortgage originators, mortgage pool organizers, rating agencies, services of mortgage pools, and all this was created by this pooling, securitization, and tranching. Now, Now, what are these incentives problems? So we need to think about just 1 minute. In the old-fashioned mortgage, the bank lent you money, the bank examined your credit worthiness, you were required to put a certain 25% or whatever down payment so that you had an equity on the house that you were buying, and the bank held that mortgage until maturity. Okay? That was the classic standard mortgage. Now, what would be the incentive structure in that mortgage? For the borrower, he has a sizable equity in the house, and if he didn't service the mortgage and defaulted, then he's going to lose the entire equity on the house that he had put in. And the lender, now, if the borrower defaults, and if the lender has to put the house in the foreclosure, then in the foreclosure market, the house value will be much less. So if we can avoid the foreclosure by coming to a deal, a mutually acceptable deal with the borrower, then the deadweight loss associated with foreclosure will be avoided. So the gains from renegotiating the contract was there between the borrower and the lender. Now, imagine the borrower, the lender has sold off the mortgage to the pool. He is no longer interested in what happens to that mortgage servicing. Previously, he would have been interested in monitoring, helping out the borrower in case temporary crisis, etc. All of that is gone. So his incentive to first monitor after mortgage is gone, and ex ante, in choosing whom to lend, that incentive to be very careful, critical, etc., in examining the creditworthiness of people is also gone. Once you sold off the mortgages to the pool organizers. The pool originators, after they have put together the pool, once again they have securitized and sold off to banks or pension funds or whatever, and their incentive, once again, is no longer in that mortgage. The rating agencies, that's the conflict of interest of the worst kind, that Moody's or Fitch's or whatever, S&P, and these pool organizers paid those rating agencies for their rating. So the incentive there is very clear that pool organizer is interested in a high rating, pool rating agency is interested in giving a high rating because the fee is dependent upon the custom of these organizers, etc. So incentive structure is screwed up there as well. Now, you might ask, this rating agency situation, yes?
So the question here is that if this really does create all these incentive problems, why were these things so liquid then? Because
no, you see, the point is, if you are a pension fund, you are going by the experience to all the corporate bonds, this, that, and the other. Moody's has rated as AAA, has performed well in the past. Okay? Now you have no information on the performance of these securities, but you extended the capacity of the rating agencies to be able to assess and give meaningfully to those securities for which no the extended information is available. And so this could not have been done in a very meaningful. If the rating agencies were really serious about the business, they couldn't have done it proper risk assessment in this context.